Hey guys, welcome to Ignite Session 6, Grow Your Database. Linnell Alessi is an agent in the Middletown Market Center, and she'll be running the class today. While she's getting set up, I am going to get started. Thank you for your patience today. Okay. So today we are learning more about your database and how it affects your real estate business. In the last section, you learned about lead generation. All the leads you gather must go somewhere to be stored and organized, and that somewhere is your database. Once your leads and contacts are captured in that container, your database, you can then leverage your database to cultivate relationships and generate new repeat and referral business. What I want to talk to you guys about, which is kind of why I'm on the call today, I'm the Market Center Tech Trainer, and I just wanted to tell you guys that Keller Williams did a study. And it turns out that agents that have at least 201 contacts in their command database earn an average of 119,000. Not only do they have to have the contacts in their database, but they have to have them on smart plans. And that's something that we're going to talk about. But basically the smart plan will reach out to your agents. So that's why this class is really important. You want to get to at least 201 contacts. I know in Ignite, they suggest that you add 10 contacts a day, which means that in 20 days, you will have your 200 contacts. And you can start with your family and friends. Your phone is a great place to start. There's an app called SA Contacts Lite, and I'll put that in the chat. It works for both Android and for iPhones, and it will basically take the contacts out of your phone into a big spreadsheet that you can then email Scott Leroy, who will import them into your command database for you. Okay. So I just want you guys to know that it's important. If you can get to that 201 level and get a smart plan on, you are well on your way to making a lot of money this year, because the people that know and love you are the people that are going to trust you. Also, as you meet new people, if you don't remind them that you're in real estate, they are going to forget about you. So it's just the idea that you want to keep in touch with them. Okay.
Oh, Lordy. Okay. All right, Eileen, you still there?
Yeah, I'm here. Okay, you ready for we're going to do today's agenda?
Yeah, because now I got my material pulled up, but now I can't see you guys anymore.
Oh no, you can't see the screen?
I can see the screen with my materials pulled up, but I don't see you on the Zoom because it's not what you're showing them is the participants' material, correct?
This is the slideshow, actually.
Right, so that's different than what I'm looking at. I'm
Correct,
looking at
right.
reading to them.
Yeah, so I think if you go to view on the top right-hand corner, you can pick gallery, and then you should be able to see everybody.
No, I'm trying to see the material that I'm reading as well.
Okay.
If that
Oh, you're
makes
saying you can't see both. You may have to shrink one window just so you can see both.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So I have you shrunk right now so I can see the material.
Okay.
I just
All right. I'll go through the agenda then while she's finishing setting up. Today's agenda, by the end of today, you should be able to identify the key information you will need for each contact in your database, determine categories or segments in the contacts for your database, which we call tags, and build your business by asking your sphere of influence for referrals. To start thinking about what you will learn today, let's consider what questions you might have and what about a database you'd like to know more about. You can also look back or think back to what you've learned about lead generation yesterday, since you started to learn the basics of a database. Okay, let's go to the next page. All right, this is from Gary Keller. He said that your database is your business. Building up the number of names in it and a relationship with those names is really at the very core of what building a real estate business is about. Okay, and that totally makes sense, because if people don't know you, they're not going to use you as a real estate agent, right? You want to start building that relationship with them. All right, Linnell, are you ready to take over?
Okay, so I'm where it says share the quote on the screen, right?
I read the quote, so you can do the part where it says, have you ever thought?
Okay.
Right?
I'm so sorry. I've never done this before, so obviously it's my
Oh, I
first.
didn't know. Okay.
And I thought,
She's a really good agent. I'm promising you. You'll get good stuff out of this today. I promise you guys.
I feel so bad because I've never, like I said, I've never done this before, and I thought it would be much simpler than this. And then we had
Yeah, it's never simple. All right. But I got you back, Linnell. We got this together.
Thank God you're here with me.
Okay, so let's go.
So it
Take
says,
it away.
have you ever thought that your database is your business? It's true. With no database, you have no business, and the number of names in your database and the relationships you build with the people will determine the success of your business. And that is so true, because I came from Century 21 and we didn't really talk about doing this stuff. And I've been in real estate for 17 years. So if I had done this way back in the beginning, so for those of you that are new, you really should be paying attention to this, and you really should be applying what you're learning today, because by the time you're in 17 years in the business like I am, you'll have thousands and thousands of people in your database. And I'm constantly going backwards for 17 years trying to catch up on people that I didn't have a database on, because they didn't really talk about collecting a database, feeding your database, and so on and so forth. Okay, so it says you'll learn today that how you feed and care for your database will turn it into a data bank from which you'll be able to predictably draw business. And yes, that's exciting.
It's exciting for me, at least. I don't know about everybody else, but it's exciting.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because you're the tech person. Okay, so in the previous session, lead generation, you got the first taste of what a database is and talked about a few ways to add people to your database as you move through the day. Today, we'll be going deep into how to bring your new repeat and referral business from your database. And first, we'll start with getting a look at the big picture of what a database is and why you should use one in your business. So does anybody have any questions before we move forward? You'll have to let me know, Eileen, because I don't see it.
I'll check the chat, no problem. If anybody wants to raise their hand, or you can unmute yourself as well. Okay.
Okay, so a database is the container that holds the contact information for all your leads and contacts. And we distinguish people differently based on the permissions we have to connect with them. So what we've been taught in some of the other classes that we've had, like Bold, everybody that you meet throughout the day, even if it's somebody at the cash register at the grocery store, give them your card and say to them, hey, if you know of anybody who's looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate, here's my card, would you mind giving it to them? Or you leave it on the table at a restaurant, and somebody may pick up that card and say, hey, I'm going to call her or him. There's so many different ways of collecting names. And what you should do is try to get them into your phone app, which Eileen will show you how to use, or get them into your database as soon as possible. And if you kind of sort of do it every day, you know, maybe it's two or three names a day, or 4 names a day, if that, instead of like waiting till the end of the week and trying to load everybody in at once. And it makes it so much easier to do it right away. So these are people who have expressed interest in a service or offering of yours from social media, other marketing platforms, your website, or word of mouth. And you haven't established a relationship, and yet you have the right to have a one-way conversation with them. That is to respond and to begin to build a relationship. So contacts are the people you have a relationship with, people you've done past business with, family and friends, people that you know. You have their permission to engage in communication with them. And the people who make up your sphere of influence are considered your contacts. Those people are your golden people. So it's, you know, family and friends and people you meet at networking events, that sort of thing. Many top agents have very successful businesses working with their sphere of influence, and you can too. This is why we focus on our sphere of influence, and you can too. This is why we focus on sphere in our success system time. Your first task will be to fill your database with your sphere or influence. So you want to put your cheerleaders in your database in command. Family, again, family and friends and people that you know that are going to be your cheerleaders and help to communicate to other people that you're in the business and that they should use you. So it's saying we should turn to their lead generation and database model page in their participant guide and do a quick review of the model. So, let me find find that page.
The model is on the screen, Linnell.
Oh, yeah, but I can't see the screen and talk at mine at the same time.
Okay, gotcha.
So I got my page. Okay.
Yeah, the model's right above what you're saying. I have the participant open.
All right. So the first thing is the lead capture, right? Second is your database, which we just talked about, your leads and your contacts. And then 3 is preparing contacts for conversion. Chime in, Eileen, at any time.
What was that?
I said chime in at any time because you do this much
Sure, I
more.
will. Yep.
Let's see. Okay, can anyone explain using the model where your database is represented? Lead generation, relationship management, or client and referral loop? Anybody want to chime in?
Nobody wants to answer. I will answer. It's the leads and the contacts. And what's great is that command allows you to label somebody as a lead versus a contact. And we're going to actually have a database day in all the market centers in April, where we're going to have you guys come in. We'll spend a few hours getting your database into command and setting up some smart plans. We'll make it fun, and we'll go over all this information with you.
Your database is all about relationship management, and the relationships you build and develop will grow your business through new, repeat, or referral business. And it's really important to keep in touch with your database. And I can tell you from experience that there's been 1 or 2 in my career where they've ended up with another realtor. And I've said to myself, oh my God, I sold them a house. Why didn't they call me? Because it was my fault for not keeping in touch, and I'm not very good with it. So I'm making an effort this year to try to do a better job of doing that, because when something like that happens, I don't want to say get mad about it, but it gets it's a little disappointing, right? Because if I had kept up with them and put them on a smart plan or just made the phone call, I'm sure would have called me instead of somebody else.
And
So your
smart
database
plans
is
are automated text and emails that go out to your sphere. And I got Linnell to set some up, so it can't be that hard. Trust me.
No, Eileen is very good about helping. Thank goodness. So it says your database is key to your business and does a lot for you. A database keeps you organized so you can run your business effective and efficiently. A database keeps a comprehensive record of communication in the relationship through systemized communication. A database helps automate other tasks, and a well-maintained database holds value and can be sold if you choose to retire or close the business. So we call it a book of business, right? You have all these viable names and numbers and address that somebody maybe getting into the business will be willing to pay for down the road, so that they have, you know, a database already put together for them. And it takes a long time, and it takes years to put a really good database together. But you can start now by capturing every single one, which, like I said, I wish I would have done when I worked at Century 21. And the good thing about Command is everything is organized for you, and everything is there in one screen. So you're not doing it the old-fashioned way where we used to use Google, or we used to use Google Contacts, or we used to use other forms of CRMs. Everything is right in Command. You don't need anything else at this point. And you're paying for it, right? You're paying for it through your technology, so you might as well take advantage of it and use it. An organized and smart database sure beats a notepad of names or sticky notes or any other non-automated system. Wouldn't you agree? So yeah, I
think you're muted, Linnell,
yeah, I know. It said the host muted me.
somehow.
Can you hear me?
You're good now. Start talking.
Okay. It said that the host muted me.
You're good now. You're good.
All right. Trying to get to the next page. Okay, so it says you've learned that Command is a smart database that KW makes available to you. How many of you have gotten into Command already? So I don't know, because I can't see you guys. I'm assuming most of you have from the past couple of Ignite classes. Okay, so Command is a database of names and contact information, like the contacts in your phone, and with a lot more information. Goal tracker, you enter goals for yourself for the month and year, and it will track your activities, conversion rates, and projected income. Task manager to track all the things you are committed to completing in lead generation and transaction management. Marketing suite of newsletters, postcards, and other mailers, presentations, and social media posts. Referral network to connect with agents everywhere to give and receive referral client leads. So I'm going to tell you guys, try to be as diligent with this as you can and get all of their information into Command, because I can tell you from experience, I sometimes put their name and their email in there because that's the only way to send them the paperwork, whether they're a buyer or a seller. And I don't always put their phone number in there. And then when I go to look for their phone number, I'm scrolling through my phone, or sometimes, there's a glitch in the update and I've lost the phone number. So I just had an example with Eileen. I did a smart plan, and for some reason I used the only email address I had for her, but she has a new email address now. And so she did get the old email address that I sent to her, but it got kicked back. So now I've captured the new email and made sure I put it into that database so that when I send out the smart plan next time, it goes to the new email address. And prior to now, I was not very good about diligently keeping that information in there. And birthdays too, put their birthday in if you have an opportunity to get their birthday, so that when it comes time for their birthday, you can put a smart plan out for their birthday. And those kind of little touches, I'm still doing it the old fashioned way sometimes, where I just text them and I'll send them, maybe a happy birthday on Facebook, or I'll just shoot them a text myself. But putting it in a smart plan, you set it and forget it, and you don't have to worry about it because it'll send it automatically on the date of their birthday. Command is ever evolving too. It's a great time to remind you to take the on-demand series called Command Your Business on Connect, and to refer back to the Ignite reference guide for step-by-step instructions for building your business in Command. Okay, so there's a page called 4 Laws of Database in your guide. And they will be covered in upcoming slides. Now you know the why of using a database, and remember, your database is your business. So Eileen, is there anything you want to chime in on that? I mean, I can't say enough about it, and yet I know I need to do a better job.
Yeah, so it's a whole system, and the good thing is that Command was built around the 4 laws of your database. So there's something for build your database. It's going to be your contacts. For Feed It Every Day, we have campaigns where you can generate Facebook or Instagram leads. Communicate systematically would be your smart plan section, and then service all leads would be the opportunity section. So we are going to have classes on all of these different areas, but these are the 4 laws of the database, and you need to do all 4 to make your money.
Yes, and I'm really going to try to use my database this year and try to focus on what you're saying about the 119,000, because I thought that was an astonishing number when you told us about that the first time. And I think, again, if I had kept up with that through the years, even since coming to KW and Command rolling out, who knows what that number could be. So then it says, first law is to build your database. You've already started doing this during Ignite through the phone calls you've been making, conversations you've been having, and other success system activities. And of course, we recommend Command as your database because it's available at no extra cost. It's powerful and it's ever evolving. So if you're using some of those other CRMs that you're paying for, Command is just as good. And again, you're paying it and you're part of your tech fee. So you might as well take advantage of it and not have to pay somebody else, especially if you're new, you want to watch where you're spending your advertising dollars. The first name to put into your database are your sphere of influence, the people that you thought about in session 5, your family, your friends, your coworkers, people you encounter regularly. Maybe it's, if you have kids, maybe it's the parents of some of the kids that you have in school. If you go to church, maybe it's people that you meet at church on the weekend. Organizations that you may be involved in. I'm involved in BNI, which is Business Networking International. All of those people are in my database. I'm also involved in Rotary. Those people are in my database. So any kind of organizations, Orange County Chamber, maybe the Orange County Chamber, whatever you get involved in, you want to put those people into your database, as many people as you see and touch and meet every day, to grow your database, so that down the road, of course, they'll think of you first, because your name is going to be popping up at least maybe once a month, however you have it set up. There's basic information that you should be gathering from each person. At the most basic level, each contact in your database should have the name, the contact information, the phone, the email, the address, and past record of business with you. So that helps. I can tell you in my phone, I have the address of the property I sold them, because just for example, last year I did 43 properties. So it's kind of hard sometimes to remember all 43 addresses of the 43 people that I sold properties to last year. The year before I did 54. So now you're asking me to remember 54 and 43. And sometimes I'm getting too old. I can't remember the addresses of every single property that I've sold them. But what I do is I put it in my phone. And I don't know if you guys can see my phone, but I put it in under their name. So I'm trying to find an example of one. So what I do is on my phone, I have their name, and then under it where you can add their business or whatever there is to it, I add the address of the property that I sold them. And I do that with people who call me just to ask about a property. So if someone calls me and says they're interested in my listing at Fort Jersey, which right now is a house I have up at Yankee Lake, I'll put in there Fort Jersey. And then when they call me in 3 or 4 months from now, and I'll have their name saved in there. So I'll say, hey, Eileen, how are you doing? And she'll say, oh, you remember me. And I'll say to her, yeah, you called me on my property on Fort Jersey. Wow, Linnell, you remembered me from that? I don't, but she doesn't know that because I saved her name when she called me, and I saved the property that she called me on. And it just makes them feel like they're kind of sort of important, and that, you know, you remembered them. And it does help in developing a relationship with them and having them want to work with you, because they think, oh, wow, you know, she remembered me. There's several ways to add your contacts to your command for the first time. So you can go to answers.kw.com and search for Ignite Reference Guide. And what else may be good to collect your contacts?
I'm going to interrupt for a second.
Go right ahead.
Yeah, so the easiest first way I would say is get your contacts out of your phone. I'm going to put in the chat, it's an app that you can use called SA Contacts Lite, and it's free. And all it does is it exports the contacts from your database to a CSV file, which is just a spreadsheet. I suggest then you start thinking about how you want to tag or group people, which we'll get into a little bit today. Different categories of people. Are these people that live in Florida? Are these a group of people that you know from high school? Are these a group of people that are on the PTA, right? You may want to tag people depending on how you want to, you know, contact them. You should definitely have friends and family. You know, and only you could decide, do you play golf? You could have golf or tennis friends, right? You would put that in a column, and then the easiest thing would be to email Scott Leroy, and they will upload that whole group for you all at once. So you don't have to worry about that.
Yes. And I did that. Okay, so it says that you can also add their birthdays, which we already talked about. You can tag them by saying they own. Maybe they're a seller, maybe they're a future seller. And so you want to be able to send them neighborhood information so that when it does come time to sell, they have you first and forward in their mind, because you have them tagged as a seller and you're selling them seller's information. Do they rent? Maybe they're renters. And so you have all these people tagged as tenants. And when it comes time to buy, they'll think of you because you've been keeping in touch with them as a potential buyer down the road. Eileen Ford questions. I don't remember that. What was that? Do you remember?
Its Ford questions are, I'm trying to think, F was for family, O
Okay.
is for occupation, so you can ask them, how's your job
Oh,
going?
yeah.
R is for, I gotta think.
No, I
I
don't
have
remember.
it somewhere. I'll get it for you by the end. I know I can find it.
Okay.
There's, yeah, different topics that you can discuss with them, so.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, so Command makes it easy to build your database. You have options. So you can enter your contacts manually in either Command or the Command app, which we talked about earlier. And that's very slow, putting in their first name, their last name, their email, their phone number, cut and paste from another email, whatever it is. Or you can sync your contacts with Command from a third-party system, like Eileen just said, using that, what was it called again?
Well, so they're talking about something else. You actually can sync back and forth with either, Google or iCloud, but you do have to pay $10 a month. So what I suggest doing is just using that app. It's free. You can export your contacts and have Scott Leroy upload it for you.
Gotcha.
But if you want to keep it ongoing, you can pay for the service. They may give the first month free. They were for a while. I'm not 100% sure they still are. But I would suggest just exporting them yourself, cleaning it up, right? Get rid of the contact that says Domino's Pizza, right? You're not going to be calling Domino's Pizza asking if they want to buy a home, right? Cleaning it out, get rid of those people that you knew like 10 years ago that you haven't talked to necessarily, or people that are no longer in your life. So before you get it upload, you want to clean it up and try and get as much information as you can. You're going to want to try and get their email address, their phone number, and their home address at minimum, if you can.
So if you're using something like the SA contacts and you're sending it over to Scott Leroy, how then do you separate the previous upload that you did? You're going to end up with duplicates, no?
Right, so I would suggest really doing that once. They will not do duplicates. The system recognizes people by their email or their phone number. So if you're going to upload somebody, it won't. However, if you have, let's say, John Smith and you have their cell phone number, and then you upload John Smith with their email address, it will create two contacts. It won't recognize that's the same person. So
Okay.
I suggest after that, you can manually add your contacts. If you have a bunch, you can create a spreadsheet. If not, just do them one by one as you meet them. It doesn't take too long. If you have 100, 200 people in your phone, you're obviously not going to want to enter those manually.
Gotcha. Okay, so it says you can easily add personal details to each contact, and you have the ability to add notes about your communication with them and personalize each with tags. Command comes with several built-in tags with the option to customize your tags. So I try to add, if they have kids or a pet, family pet, I try to add the family pet, or I try to add the children's names. So when you call them and you're talking about the family, it's just not like you're saying, hi, Eileen, how's your husband? Because you don't know what her husband's name is, or hi, Eileen, what's your son's name again? So you put that in there, and this way, when you go to make the phone call, you have their names. And again, I do the same thing in my phone sometimes because it's just sometimes a little bit quicker. And again, it's just a little bit more personal, and they appreciate that. If you or your MC have already led lead participants through adding contacts, you can skip this exercise. Okay, never mind. Let's practice entering one of our contacts into Command. Everyone head to your Command homepage. So I don't know if we could all do that.
That could be homework, after the class, try and go to your Command account and add a contact. I just put a link to the instructions for that. If you
Okay.
have any trouble with it, let me know and I can walk you through it after the class. Okay, so that could be one of your homework assignments.
That's great. Next. Okay, check out Command Your Database on Connect for step-by-step simple instructions, or go to answers.kw.com and search for Ignite Reference Guide. So is that part of
I'll put the link in the chat. Yeah, so I have to tell you, if you guys call me with questions about Command, a lot of times I just go to answers.kw.com It gives you step-by-step instructions on how to do things in command. And if you get stuck, you can always ask for help, but that's really my go-to. And I'll put the link for answers.kw.com in the link chat as well.
And Scott Leroy is really good too, about answering questions as well and doing a lot of things for you guys. Like your email signature, they'll do that for you. There's so many things that they'll do for you because we pay them to be on board with us to help us with that sort of thing instead of struggling to figure it out yourself. Just let them do it. That's what they're there for. So again, if you'd like to know more about building your database, check out the online on-demand course, Build a $1 Million Database and Own Your Future within the series named No Ceilings, Level Up Your Lead Generation. Okay. All right. Does anybody have any questions about building a database? Eileen, you've got that because I can't see you guys.
No questions.
Okay. All right. So the second law is to feed your database. So who remembers from the previous session, what are the two pathways for feeding leads, contacts into your database? So does anybody remember? Okay, I'm going to say prospecting and marketing, right, guys? Okay. So feeding your database, what does that mean? This law is about adding people to your database. And just as we discussed, or you guys discussed yesterday, you add all the people you know, your sphere of influence, and the people you encounter regularly. You add your dentist, your children's teachers, your coworkers, and people you know from the neighborhood, like we spoke earlier, organizations that you might be involved in, like Leadership Orange. The rest of your feed comes from what? Yes, lead generating. In the previous session, you learned the difference between prospecting and marketing. You also explore different ways to prospect in your everyday life and through your sphere. Prospecting is actively seeking leads and building relationships through conversations. And prospecting is cost effective and you're able to directly hear if and when the person is able, ready, and willing to do business. Marketing is a passive pathway for feeding your database. And you're putting information out in print or via social media, for example, and waiting for leads to seek you out. So marketing is when you put out a flyer, let's say to a neighborhood, or you send out a postcard about a just sold to the neighborhood, and you have your information on there for them to reach out to you. Or you put something on Facebook about getting ready for spring and getting your house ready for, to list in the spring. Eileen, anything you want to chime in?
Not right now.
Okay.
I don't want to take over.
Yeah, but you do this all the time. So if you have good information that you want to add to it, I'm fine with that.
Okay.
So building your database can be accomplished economically by asking everyone you know, who they know, and who might benefit from your services, or it may have an immediate real estate need. You learned earlier that many top agents run highly productive businesses based solely on their sphere. You see your sphere as your source for new, repeat, and referral businesses. And remember, this was the client referral loop of the database model. So I can tell you in my situation, after 17 years, but it took me a while to get there, I don't really do a lot of marketing and I don't do a lot of social media ads because I really do work with my sphere of influence. And it makes it so much easier for you because you're not having to, like, let's say cold call, where some people pay for names and they're cold calling people for business, or they're calling expireds, or they're calling FSBOs, and they're asking them to list their house, or asking them if they know somebody, who needs to buy or sell, or if the house is expired, they're calling a total stranger and saying, your house is expired. And those are all great ways of creating leads if you're okay with doing that. I don't like the cold calling. So by calling my own sphere of influence, there are people that I've sold their house, I've sold their mother's house, I've sold their grandparents' house, I've sold their children, their houses. So with some of them, I've had 4 and 5 really good sales out of that one lead because I kept in touch with them. And some of them I've been doing business with for 17 years, 15 years, because I've kept in touch with them. And it's much easier and I would say a lot nicer than getting on the phone to a total stranger and saying, hey, you know, would you like to buy, sell, or invest in real estate, and have somebody hang up on you, which I hate. Okay, new business comes when someone in your sphere begins thinking about buying or selling and they think of you. Repeat business comes from clients you've helped in the past who were so pleased with the service and experience you provided that they asked you for you again. Referral business comes from clients who have used you before or know of your stellar service and recommend you to people in their sphere. So I'm in a group called BNI, and it's awesome because all of the people that are in that group with me, and there's about 30 of us, are my cheerleaders. So when they all know someone who's looking to buy or sell or invest in real estate, they refer them to me, so that when I call them, I can say, hey, Eileen referred you to me. She said you may be thinking about selling your house. And we call that like a warm lead. So again, you're not doing that cold calling, and they've already heard good things about you from the people that are in my group, this BNI group that I'm talking about. And so they're more than likely to use you because, as Gary's slide showed, most of them work with the first person they meet. Some go on to a second person, but most of them go to the first person they meet. And you want to be the first person to be that first person in line. Who might your sphere refer you to? Neighbors, children, or relative, friends, and coworkers. So some of what we just talked about. And how do you ensure your sphere will refer you? By asking for a referral, by explaining how to give you a referral, by sharing how important it is to you, by thanking them with words and even a gift for a referral. Your sphere generally wants to help you, and you can easily feed your database or with referrals from them. So sometimes they don't even know really how to refer you to somebody. And it seems like it's so obvious to us, of course, because we're in the business. But how many times do you find out that they use somebody else, and it's a family member or a friend, and it's their sister or their brother that use somebody else because they didn't even think of you? A lot of times they think you're doing so well that you don't need any more business, or they just, whatever it is, they're busy and they're wrapped up in their own lives every day that they're not necessarily thinking, oh, this might be a good lead for you. So you always want to remind them, hey, if you know of anybody who's looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate, please, I'm more than willing to help them. And approach it in that way. Don't make it look like you're being, we call it hunters instead of farmers. You're really farming because you want to do it softly, right? You don't want to say, hey, why didn't you tell me so-and-so was looking to buy or sell, right? Go ahead,
I was
Eileen.
going to add too, there's an agent in Middletown who was telling me the other day. So Linnell belongs to BNI, which is like a whole formal group thing. This other agent told me that she got together some of the moms that she knows, and they kind of refer each other. They're all business owners in different areas, and they kind of all recommend each other, sort of like if someone posts on Facebook, I need a makeup artist, somebody might refer her, and they all kind of support each other without it really being a formal thing. So you can kind of form your own little group of, independent business owners yourself and kind of get behind each other and support each other, without having to make it an actual formal networking group like Linnell belongs to.
Yep, and there's so many groups on Facebook that you can join also, like mommy groups, right? There's a Warwick Mommy chapter, I think, and there's a Goshen chapter. I don't know, because
I think City People, there's Rockland Mommies, I think it's called,
Yeah, there you go.
so. Yeah,
there's
there's
so
all
many
different
ways to get
groups.
leads. You can go to your local pizza place, right? Or your local bakery. And if you've developed a good enough relationship with them, and I've done that with some of the restaurants that I've gone to, I'm the first person that they call because I frequent their restaurant enough, or I frequent their bakery enough, or whatever it is, that I leave my cards with them. And when somebody is looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate, they refer them to me, which is awesome. And it's, again, it's just it's like a soft lead. You're not cold calling and, going down a list of names and you call 20 people and hope to get one, There are other ways you can feed your database. Encourage the people you know to write a testimonial about you or a review of the service you've provided them in the past. And when you post these on social media through your agent's site or in any form of marketing, you may attract some leads that way because they're telling everybody how wonderful you are. Or for an item of value related to real estate on social media and people opt in to receive it from you. This could be a real estate update on the market in the area, which conveniently is already created for you in Command. So you can do that And when they opt in or they, Eileen can help you with this, and they look at your information, you're capturing their name, their email, and I think you can do the phone number as well. And then you
Because the idea is people aren't going to give you their information usually to a stranger for no reason. But if you're offering them, let's say, a list of homes for sale under $500,000 in New City, right? Somebody might want that list. And then in that case, give you their information to get that list, right? So sometimes you have to give something of value to them to get their information.
So I'm sure there's plenty of you that have family members or friends, business contacts, etc., that would write a testimonial for you right now. When you ask a business contact for a review, you're going to reciprocate, right? And then you're going to write the review for them on the Yelp or whatever it is to help them out. So maybe it is a local restaurant or a bakery or a flower shop, right? Then you're going to go to their site and you're going to write a good review for them. Focus on your sphere first, since they are your cheerleaders. Even though you may not have a closed transaction or may only be working towards your first few, you can still leverage testimonials and reviews as you build and establish these relationships. So I know too, when I list a house, I will do a Facebook post and it'll capture buyers. And I've done some of them where I've captured 100 or 200 buyers. Now, they're not all necessarily viable buyers. Some of them were just looking at the house and were interested in seeing the photos or reading up on the information. They may not even be interested in the house once they see where it is, but those are names and emails and phone numbers that you've captured that you can call and say, hey, you know, I see that you were interested in 123 Main Street. Is there anything I can help you with? You don't even have to be pushy about it, you know, and if they just tell you no, they tell you no. Okay, no big deal. Well, you have my name, you have my number. If you have any questions about any other houses that you see in the neighborhood, let me know and I'll be more than happy to help you. Let's see. Okay, so it's saying remind you to think back to your value proposition from day 4, along with any previous job experience, and provide a few examples at the start to help you kick off brainstorming. Topics include responsiveness, attentiveness, attention to detail, professionalism, empathy, clear communication. You guys should have your have like a 1-pager about you. I call it a 1-pager. Anyway, we again use this in my group called BNI, which is Business Networking International. And it's just like your resume. It's a 1-pager about you and your experience. And if you don't have a lot of experience because you're new, again, it talks to your skills, your professionalism, your referrals or your reviews from people and family and friends. And it just talks about you to the person, the potential buyer or seller. So now it's saying write down 5 names that you will ask for a testimonial or a review. So you can save that for homework too. Okay, so what do you do when someone writes a testimonial or a review for you? You thank them. Express gratitude for helping to build your business. Remember to leverage any testimonials or reviews on social media and your agent's site, or even as part of your pre-listing listing packet that you use on appointments. So you can take those reviews, print them out, and bring them with you to show a prospective buyer and a seller as well. All right, anybody have any questions about feeding their database? We good, Eileen?
Good. Keep it rolling.
So the
Yeah.
third law, we're almost done, I think, right?
We have 2 sessions today, Linnell. We got to go through 2. This is just the database one. We still have to go through open houses.
We're supposed to do it in an hour?
2 hours. We got another hour left, so let's go.
All right, that's fine with me. The third law is to communicate with your database. In the previous session, you learned about the importance of relationship in real estate, along with the different ways you can communicate with your database called touches. Communicating with your database will be accomplished through those touches, and you'll pair those with meaningful, relevant, and timely information. Okay, share the quote. You got this quote up there, Eileen?
Quote from Gary Keller.
Okay, this quote says you must commit to frequent contact. How long must you commit to building relationships? Forever while you're in business. And that's true. Once you don't keep in touch, you lose it. The way you communicate with your database will depend on whether it's with leads or contacts. And remember that in Ignite, we are focusing our attention on relationship building and strengthening with our contacts, our sphere, those whom we have permission to have two-way conversations with. And as you establish and build relationships and learn more about a person's motivations, their dreams, their interests and goals, you will categorize or segment people into common interests so that everyone is receiving communication that matters to them. Information that is meaningful and feels personal is information that they're more likely to respond to. So like Eileen was saying earlier, separate them by tenants, separate them by sellers, separate them by people at school. Let's see. All right, next. Okay, so we just talked about this. Segment your database. Golf, military, investor. Look at the list you just generated. Since people are more likely to respond with the information you send and communicate directly impacts them, it's important to purposefully segment your database so the target message appeals to them. Keep in mind that this is not set in stone. It's flexible and will change as your database and your relationships grow and develop. So maybe you met somebody who's not married and doesn't have kids, but down the road, they end up getting married and they have kids. So maybe you want to add tags of children or school or, you know, some other tag that you've set, because you can make your own tags too.
And we have some agents on here that I know have already had some business. You definitely want to have a tag for former customer, past client, whatever you want to call it, because you want to make sure that you reach out to these people every year on their anniversary. You want to remind them the average person moves every 7 years. So when they're ready to move again, you want them to use you. Plus, if they had a great experience with you, they're more than likely to recommend you to their friends and family as well.
Okay, so what are some other ways that you might further segment the list that you just generated? And I think we've kind of talked about that enough. Renters, like we said, past clients. Okay, the messaging to the segment should be relevant to likes, dislikes, interests, or based on past interactions with you. Even though the words and topics of your messaging will change, there are some things that will remain consistent no matter what segment you're communicating with. Your messaging matches the motivation of that segment, uncovers if they are able, ready, and willing, and the time frame they are looking to do business in, elicits an immediate response, tells the person receiving the message how to contact you. Always want to have that in there, of course. Your messaging needs a method, a way to be communicated. When communicating with your database, this will come from your targeted marketing, also known as your touch campaigns, which we will dig deep into in the following lead. So some of the things that we've been taught is to leave your communication with a question. And it kind of is a natural way for them to answer your question and reach out to you without you having to track them down. So maybe if they have kids, you ask them, I don't know, how so-and-so is doing in football, right? One of their kids is doing in football or something to that effect. And then they're probably more than likely going to naturally answer that question. And it kind of opens up that dialogue again, especially if you haven't talked to them in a while. All right, let's see. Some items of value that might be items like market statistics that you would send to them, seasonal prep checklists, which we talked about earlier, real estate forecasting data, schedule of local events and festivals. So I've seen some agents put that out, especially around Christmas time or in the fall when they do the pumpkin picking. I've seen agents put out a list of events in the community to people so that they know what's coming up next. And it's just another nice little gesture without saying to them right away, who do you know who's looking to buy, sell, or invest, but your name is on there, your address is on there, your email, your phone, and this way, oh yeah, that's right, she sells real estate, let me give her a call. Okay. Set these touches up through smart plans in Command and use designs to create direct mail and social media campaigns to keep in touch. Eileen is awesome at that. I default to
That's
her.
a whole other class. I don't want to overwhelm you guys, but
No.
we will have smart plans class because I can just talk all day here. So,
I know you
but
could.
smart plans basically are drip campaigns where you could send emails, text, or task reminders for yourself to reach out to your people. Once you set them up, you're good to go. It'll just happen when they're supposed to happen, and you don't have to really worry about following up personally. I mean, you do have to make phone calls, obviously, but it's just a way to stay organized and be systematic with your sphere.
Yes, and then this way you're not going 6 months or more like I do sometimes and trying to break the ice. It forces you to do that. Okay, so people choose to do business with you. That's what we are after, right? And that's why we're calling it a data bank. You've essentially wasted your time lead generating and putting your contacts in your database because there's no guarantee that people will think of you when they have a real estate lead. In other words, your database will not be a data bank. And by the way, the most important communication you can make is the personal phone call, which Eileen just said. Each person in your database gets 4 calls a year, once a quarter. That's reasonable? I don't know, because I'm not good with that.
There's a smart plan actually called a quarterly call plan. And if you put your whole database on that and you stagger when it starts, it will tell you every day, okay, I got to call these 3 people today. Tomorrow, these are the 3 that I call. And if you follow that, you will touch your people 4 times a year with phone calls. And it's just a check-in. Hey, how you doing? And people like to talk about themselves. They'll tell you what's going on. They got a new dog, right? Whatever's going on. And a lot of times housing changes come up in the conversation automatically.
So the final law is to service all leads that come your way. And this will come in the form of a strong lead follow-up program, which you will get into on day 10 of Ignite. Since you'll be getting all the details then, today, we will get started with the basics. Okay, read the quote from Gary Keller. I went too far. Your job is to build a community and serve the community. A database is not only a container of information, it's your business. Gary Keller thinks of it this way: my job is to connect with you, put you in my database, and be your realtor for life. And that's exactly what you guys want, right? You want that person to always come to you for their real estate needs and not think about anybody else. He thinks of his database as a community that he serves, and he adds the size of your community is determined by you. And that's
We also
true.
get people, we sell their house and like 25 years later, their kids come in, right? And they need to buy a house.
Yep. And that's what you want. So I'm not quite there yet, but after doing it for 17 years, I do get some of that, which is awesome. So servicing your leads is a big part of building your community. Let's see. So again, why do you think it's important to provide service to all leads? I think we've kind of covered that. A lead not followed up on becomes someone else's lead and source of business and income. Provide value in general and through your real estate knowledge by volunteering information and following through on what you say you'll do. One thing that is really helpful, of course, is set up that, what is it, Eileen, neighborhood nature or neighborhood?
I was going to say, there's a few smart plans that I recommend, and it's called the neighborhood nurture. There's either the bi-weekly, which is every 2 weeks, or the monthly, which is once a month. And it sends out statistics to them about where they live, very hyper local information. All you need for that is their name, their email, and their home address. And it automatically goes out to them. And what I like is you're not asking for anything. All you're doing is giving them information about where they live. And I know people like to open these. I know I want to know what my neighbor's house is selling for. I want to see what it looks like on the inside. And this is a great way to remind people that you're in the business and at the same time giving them information that everybody is interested in. So I'll put it in the chat. It's called either the bi-weekly or the monthly neighborhood nurture.
Yeah, it's a great tool. Okay, so here's another thing that's important is knowing the source, right? So knowing how the lead was generated will be important for calculating your return on investment for the prospecting and marketing methods. So if you're using Facebook, you'd like to keep track of how many people you're getting from Facebook. If you're using, I don't know, Instagram or some of the other sites that are out there, you want to know where those leads are coming from. If you do a mailer, right, and you send a postcard out to the neighborhood, you want to know where those leads are coming from so that you know kind of sort of where to focus your marketing dollars, right? So if you see that you're getting lucky and you're getting good response from a neighborhood sending out a postcard because it's just a postcard, you're not writing a novel, then maybe you want to keep sending postcards to that neighborhood because you got a decent return out of it. or a Facebook ad. Maybe you got quite a bit of return leads from the Facebook ad, then you want to keep doing the Facebook ad and getting yourself out there. Track the relationship. You will use your database to track conversations, interactions related to the transaction and relationship that helps you to ensure your customers are serviced and converted into clients. All right. Command makes it easy to service all the people in your database with whatever the need is. You may follow up by adding more to the contact record, update your tasks, launch an additional smart plans, manage your referrals, and design all sorts of marketing materials as well as your website. And Scott Leroy can help you guys with this also as well. There's help for this on Connect. Check out Command Your Transactions for step-by-step simple instructions, or go to answers.kw.com and search Ignite Reference Guide for specific directions for specific tasks. Servicing all your leads means tracking them from introduction to closing. All right, anybody have any questions? Almost near the end. Okay, do we need to review the 4 laws of the database? I think we did this already. Oops. Went too far.
Here's a summary page.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking for, but I'm
All right, I'll read it.
losing it.
That's okay.
ahead.
Don't get discouraged if your database is not immediately yielding the results that you expect. Remember, don't quit too soon. Sometimes it can take 2 to 3 years to see a significant return. Eventually, your database will start to reward you. It can take over a year of contacting people using the 36 Touch campaign to see consistent results. It is not immediate. Think in a mindset of long term. The National Association of Realtors tells us that currently people are moving, like I said earlier, about every 7 to 10 years. Okay, so somebody that you know will be moving in the next 7 to 10 years. And also come from care. Don't be a pushy salesman, right? The real estate business is also the relationship business. People do business with people they know, like, and trust. It can take time to establish all 3, especially with a new lead. And I think, is that it?
Yeah, I think we've covered. bulk
You
of it.
guys ready to move? You want to take a 5-minute break? What do you think?
Doesn't matter to me.
What was that?
Keep going, keep going.
Keep going. All right, we're going to open houses next. All right, Linnell, get
That's
ready.
you, Eileen,
All right, I'm pulling up the PowerPoint. We'll blow through this.
please.
Right, Linnell?
Yes.
We'll blow right through this. Hang on.
Because I'm always afraid of blowing through it too quickly, and then you're sitting there like,
I know. So can you guys see the
Look at the
screen?
time
that
on the
says
bottom,
session
you know?
7? You see the screen, session 7, capture leads with open houses?
Yep.
Okay, awesome. Let's go, Linnell.
trying to find that page. Okay. All right, skipping the outline.
Go down to page, I know you're looking at the
Yeah,
present.
7.4. Okay, today we're covering how to capture leads with open houses. We'll go over the benefits of open houses, some of the best practices, and look at the prepare, prospect, and pursue model. We're not doing that. Okay, covering open houses. By the end of the session, you'll be able to describe the benefits of holding an open house, identify best practices for holding an open house, and be prepared to hold an open house. So start thinking about what you'll learn today. Let's consider what questions we might have and what we'd like to learn about. Okay, not separating into groups. Okay, participant guide. Why do we
There's a
begin the
quote.
session? Oh, yeah. Hold on.
Nothing else about your business will have as big an impact on it as the number of leads that you have. So it's all about the leads.
So as a new agent, open houses are an easy, fun, and low-cost way, here's my screen, to find buyers. Your goal in holding an open house is not only to sell the home, it's to put yourself in the path of opportunity. The business opportunity to meet people, add to your database, and set appointments, especially with interested buyers. So every single person that comes into that open house is a potential buyer for you. And it's a way to get started because you don't have, a lot of people in your database to begin with, but you capture those people coming in, try to set appointments with them, try to pre-qualify them, and that's a good start. For many agents holding open houses is their number one strategy to build a strong business, and it can be yours too. Follow a proven model and buyers and sellers come to you. Other visitors may not be actively looking to buy or sell. Nevertheless, a memorable and favorable impression can generate referrals now and business further down the road. So you might get one of those nosy neighbors that comes in and wants to have an idea of what their house might be worth, and you may capture them as a seller down the road. Since we're talking about open houses today, it's important to know this before engaging in in-person activities. Consult your jurisdiction rules regarding COVID precautions. I think we're beyond that.
Yeah, some homeowners may want you to wear a mask or something, but it's up to them.
Okay, so we always begin with checking in with our mindset. In day one, you were introduced to the 6 personal perspectives, specifically remove your limiting beliefs. However, you may be having some limiting beliefs about open houses, and let's dispel them right away. Does anyone have any limiting beliefs about holding an open house? I don't see why we should.
Love open houses.
Well, that's good.
I was gonna say no, look, the biggest limiting belief would be I don't have a listing, and you know what? That's okay.
Yep. Use somebody else in the office. You ask them, just say, hey, Brian, hey, Eileen,
Yep.
do you mind if I do an open house at one of your listings? They would love it because you're helping them to find the buyer for their seller. You don't have signs yet. It doesn't matter. You can borrow signs from the market center. I may not know the answers to the questions visitors have. It's okay. You're going to prep as much as you can. And you know what? As long as you say to them, I don't know that answer, but I'm going to find out for you, and you capture their information and you get back to them. And it's really important that you follow up. That means a lot to them. So if I don't know the answer to something, I'll say to them, no, I don't know. Let me find out and I'll get back to you. And I do. Open houses don't work. Yes, people do look online, yet many buyers and neighbors like the actual walkthrough the open house provides, and they still give you the opportunity. It still gives you the opportunity to meet people. It won't be safe. Very valid point, which we'll cover today. Consider buddying up with another Ignite participant. So it helps to have 2 of you. One of you could be capturing the information while somebody else is walking around with the buyers. If you get a bunch of people to show up all at the same time, when you open the doors, it is helpful to have somebody else with you.
For safety reasons as well.
Yes. Okay. Should every house be held open? Under what circumstances would you not recommend holding an open house? Seller specifically does not agree to have an open house. I've had people that say, I don't want the world coming through my doors. I don't want my nosy neighbors coming through my doors. And I don't want you letting people into my house that are not pre-qualified. So you will get that sometimes. Sometimes sellers are not agreeable to decluttering, cleaning up, sanitizing, so that the house does not show well. When it's not necessary to show, for example, in a seller's market, when there are immediate multiple offers or houses are being bought. So, you might have it priced so well that the minute you list it, you get multiple offers right away. Well, what are you doing an open house for? You don't necessarily need to do that. Although it is starting to slow down a little bit, right? So open houses are becoming a thing again. We know that the 2 main goals for open houses are to sell houses and generate leads. Who does the open house benefit? So it depends on how you look at it, right? For sellers, it's getting people into their house, potential buyers. For buyers, it's an opportunity to see the houses without an obligation, and that is without being qualified to research houses. Neighbors, to see how their home compares to the listed house. And you, the agent, you capture the lead. You connect with the neighborhood. You place signs with your name throughout the neighborhood, and you practice conversations, answer questions, and provide value. So down the road, you just become more fine-tuned with doing these open houses. And the next time someone has asked you that question, whatever it might be, you might have the answer for that neighborhood because you learned through the house that you did the open house with. Okay, so what do you think are some of the benefits of open houses? We've kind of gone over them. One of the primary benefits of open houses is that they're relatively inexpensive to host. Open houses are also a very useful prospecting tool for lead generation. That is to meet buyers, sellers, and other agents. Because the main thing you invest when preparing an open house is time, the return on investment can be tremendous. and you can generate leads, qualify leads, and potentially get a closed deal. So what type of leads are you most likely to get from an open house? I think it's pretty self-explanatory, buyer leads. Okay. So anybody who's done an open house that has had success and has gotten some good buyer leads out of it? No?
Jackie, what about you? I know you said you did an open house. No?
Yes, I did a couple of open houses. I've gotten a couple of leads that I'm still working with.
Yeah, so that's good.
We're looking at homes.
And they take time, so they, most likely, they're not gonna come in and buy the house that you're at, but at least you have people that you're working with that in the future.
Yeah.
Right.
I think
And
it's
it's-
less than 5% or something like that.
Yeah, and it's unbelievable because these people, some of them, you know, they've been in my phone for a while. I invited them, had no clue that they were thinking of buying homes. So it was kind of aha.
If you don't ask, you'll never know, right? So that's the way it goes, right?
Yeah, true. So true.
It's so important to always put out there what you do, right? Because sometimes people just take for granted that you've got plenty of business and that you're not necessarily looking for new leads.
And also, Jackie, I know that you post on Facebook when you're doing stuff, and you know what, that's great because people look at you as an active agent. They don't really need to know how many homes you've sold or not sold, but they see you out there working and that you're, you know,
Yeah.
you're hitting the ground. So that's great.
Yeah.
Even if nobody walks in the door, nobody needs to know that, right?
That's true. And I also got a seller from Facebook I'm
Ah.
working with right now too.
There you
Awesome.
go.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. Mhm.
So before your open house, you want to set a concrete and achievable goal, which I've never thought about doing that. I just took the names, but I think it's a good idea. For example, tell yourself your goal is to add 6 people to your database. What are the goals could be useful to help to set for yourself before you host an open house? I don't know, maybe to try to capture a couple of seller leads. Think back to earlier when we said the goals are not just to get appointments. Open houses are a great way to generate leads, which we just spoke about. Picking the house is a crucial step in the open house process. It's important to look for a great and visible location, preferably not more than 3 turns from a major road. So, I mean, you can't always pick that, but if you're going to do it for somebody, one of our agents, we've got plenty of agents here with listings, and I don't know how many listings we have in our office right now, but I think it's over 100. So Google map it, you know, find out how close they are and try to do, you know, one that's close to a main road. As you prepare for the open house, you should get to know the closest shopping centers, grocery stores, architecture, coffee shops. Remember, when you're choosing your house, you don't always have to pick the most expensive house on the market or the least expensive. So, you know, maybe in Middletown, you don't pick the most expensive house because you know, as the interest rate is going up, the affordability is coming down. So maybe you stick to the $300,000 price range because a lot more people can afford $300,000 than, let's say, $500,000 and $600,000. So your turnout should be greater for a $300,000, and you'll get that many more possible buyers.
That is true. There's less people looking at the $1 million home, right?
Right? Consider what the average price houses are selling for in your market and adjust your choice of house based on this. So that's basically what I just said. Okay, before you host your open house, prepare a list of questions you may be asked and practice your conversation starters. Some questions you might face will test your knowledge of the house and your market. So what I try to do is in the beginning, when I didn't have a lot, I would call the listing agent and I would say, hey, what can you tell me about this house other than what you have in the listing? You know, how old is the roof? How old is the septic? When's the last time the septic was pumped out? How old is the electric? Was the electric updated? Questions like that. A lot of buyers want to know those kind of answers because those are big ticket items that they want to be prepared for. So if the house is 20 years old and the shingles are 25 years life shingles, then they know in the back of their mind, hey, I have about 5 years before I might have to replace the roof or the heat. Like I went on a listing appointment the other day. The house is, I think it was 42 years old and it had the original heating system. So my buyer was like, oh my God, Lynelle, 42 years, I'm going to have to set money aside for that heating system. So you may find out that they just put in a new well pump or they just put in a new heating system. And those things may not have been mentioned in the listing because they spoke about the neighborhood or, the landscaping or the school district or whatever it was. So those are just added things that you put in your notes. So when they say, hey, do you know how old the roof is? You have the answer instead of saying, I don't know, I'll have to get back to you. Okay. During an open house, have the visitors sign in and upon arrival at the event. Some agents even make this a requirement, stating it as a safety measure. I don't know about that. You can even ask them to leave something of value with you while they tour the home. I don't know about that. Like their car keys or driver's license. Again, this is a safety measure. Explain to the top participants setting up a sign-in station allows them to capture leads. I think a sign-in station is enough. I wouldn't be asking people to give me their license. But if you have somebody else doing the open house with you, it helps with that. Once you've
Rosemary
captured,
highly suggests you have somebody else with you. Yeah.
Yes.
Just makes it safer and easier.
and make sure you have some things in your phone, like make sure you have family and friends that know that you're doing an open house, what time you're doing the open house. I put out safety in my office here every single month. You want to make sure your family and friends know that you're doing an open house at 123 Main Street from 1 to 3, just as a precautionary. You just don't know. Once you've captured the contact information, you'll have plenty of opportunities to wow them with your technology and expertise after the event. Okay, the time you choose for the open house is important. When you know your market well and have connected with it, picking the right time to host the open house should be simple. Open houses have been known to work in any market at all dates and times. So know your market in order to drive the most traffic through your open houses. So maybe someplace like in Goshen, where there's government centers, you might want to do an open house around lunchtime because a lot of people go to lunch, between 12 and 1 o'clock. And maybe if you have an open house in the village, they'll stop by on their way to lunch. But maybe if you're more rural, you're going to do it on a Sunday afternoon because people go to open houses on a Sunday afternoon after church. Picking the time for your open house goes hand in hand with picking a theme. If you're having your open house on a Sunday afternoon during football season, know the game scores or have the game on TV. I don't think they're coming to your open house if there's a game going on. What open house themes have succeeded for agents you know? What other themes could you use to attract visitors? I've never thought about themes before and I've never used them before, but I guess that's a good idea. If you have kids, be careful with what you sometimes serve. So I always try to keep it to sealed bottles of water because sometimes people use coffee or they'll have some kind of a drink for people that come with kids. And then the kids are running around and that red Kool-Aid gets spilt on the white carpet or that chocolate chip cookie gets into the rug. So you want to be careful with that kind of stuff. You want them there for the house, not necessarily the food that you're serving. If you've been practicing connecting with and knowing your market, then gathering the neighborhood stats for your open house will be fast. You can go into Fast Stats and you can do like a little snapshot of Goshen or Middletown or wherever that house is in, and you can pull that up and use that as a handout to give to potential buyers.
This is for the One Key MLS for those. Most of you should be using that, but just in case someone isn't.
Local information provided by the school district, employment information, recreation nearby, traffic and commute. You can get that from most of the townships and their sites. Be safe. Agent safety should be a top priority for hosting open houses because there's a risk involved in hosting open houses. So again, like we said earlier, using a buddy system can mean having another person with you at the house. In addition, you should always let someone else know when and where you will be. Consider sharing your GPS location with a friend or a partner. Just tell them the address. Parking on the street prevents your car from being blocked in case of the need for an emergency exit. Also, when you show a potential client through the house, allow them to walk ahead of you. Like we discussed when we went over open house conversation starters, it may be useful to bring a partner with you to the open house. I always say bring somebody with you. And we've had some that have had not so great experiences. The difference between big and really big is how you manage your time and focus. So there are some that do a lot of prospecting, a lot of prep work, use a prepare, prospect, and pursue model to approach your open house. So you remember the goal for your open house is to get appointments with active buyers and sellers. To be at your best and achieve what you've set out for yourself takes preparation. Schedule preparation time during the week before your open house so you can ensure that you capture leads and set appointments. So some agents have gone through the trouble of printing postcards, and they'll send postcards out within a 5-mile radius announcing the open house. So there's a lot of prep work, of course, if you're going to do something like that, because it takes time to get those postcards and get them mailed. Practice conversations for greeting people, answering questions, capturing contact information. I don't think that's that hard to do. After you've done the hard work, like picking your house, know the next few steps. Next few steps will involve maximizing potential client traffic at your open house. A lot of this will involve posting online in the days ahead. So you want to post on Instagram, you want to post on Facebook, maybe TikTok, all those sites. 93% of buyers use a website to find a house. So go where the people are. You can do it right on the MLS as well. And the MLS, of course, as you know, syndicates. You can do that with KWLS, which syndicates. Walk the participants through the days leading up to the open house. Remind the participants about the do not call list. Encourage them to call up to 100 people in the days leading up. So you want to call as many people. You can get your list. Of course, you're not going to call the people on the do not call list, and you're going to call and leave messages. Hey, I just want to remind you, we're having a open house at 123 Main Street on Saturday afternoon from 1 to 3. Hope to see you there. And you leave a message on their voicemail. If you have their text, you leave it on your text. You can use your database and send it out to your database. People that come to the open house intend to know community and neighborhood information. Remember, they're buying a lifestyle. So maybe you want to have some things printed up about the neighborhood for them. People often choose to move to growing areas. This is where neighborhood information will be important. Maybe the schools, maybe the parks, maybe after school programs. Knowing financial and mortgage information is also something visitors might ask about. So what we do sometimes is we pair up with somebody who's in the mortgage business, and we'll ask them to put a little chart together. If you put $50,000 down and here's what the taxes are on this house, this is how much the payment would be. If you put $75,000 down, this is how much your payment would be. And it shows them, what they can anticipate for their payment to be on that particular house that you're showing. Callum Mortgage is a beneficial tool agents can use to grow their business. Many KW clients report being thrilled with the simplicity, savings, and service they received. I've used this a couple of times for my clients. You have to have good credit, but it really is a good program. Okay, important. Pursuant to RESPA, Keller Williams agents and associates must provide an ABA disclosure. We don't need that. Brush up on the home buying process. Open houses are a great place for first-time home buyers, and they will likely have a lot of questions. Get your visitors to download and use the KW app. So you have the KW app in your phone. Get them to download your app, and it'll, every time that they look at a house and they want some information, it'll go to your phone. And that's another way to capture them. You don't have to know everything there is to know about mortgage information, just know enough to get them down the road, like the general interest rate. So maybe you pair up, your buddy is somebody in the mortgage business who's there to help pre-qualify them at the time they're going through the house. I've done
Or
that.
I was going to suggest at least have a couple of names to give them. Say, if you're starting to look, you really need to be pre-approved. Otherwise, you won't have your offer taken seriously, and give them out a couple of names. And you can follow up in a couple of days. Hey, did you call any of my people? It's a good way to stay in contact.
Yep.
And you're the source for information from them. If they see you as somebody who can help them, they will want to work with you.
Yeah. So if you've read the MREA book, then you've heard of leads, listings, and leverage. Open houses are all about leads, leads, and leads. An open house is a great prospecting tool that requires mostly time as an investment. Let's look at some ways you can look for houses to prospect for leads. So an important part of the open house is to build trust and rapport with the foot traffic that visits the house. Ways you can do this are, so we were just talking about that. Greet everyone that comes in the door, greet everyone who comes in the door, even the kids and the dog. So we don't want someone else bringing a dog into somebody's house. Your seller may have allergies, your seller's kids may have allergies, so. I
We
don't
had a
know.
situation where the seller said the dog peed on their carpet and the buyer said it never did, but that dog was in the house. So.
Yeah, so we shouldn't have that in there. That should not be in there. And it's okay to ask them, just, do me a favor, just make sure you keep the kids with you. Because sometimes parents go in one direction, the kids go in the other direction, and then they're breaking that expensive vase. So you really want to keep them together as a whole, which is why you want to tag team with somebody else. Ask them, what brought you in today? Are you looking for a home in this neighborhood or price range? Have you been looking at other houses? Would you like to know more about the market or the neighborhood? What do you like about this house that I may share with others? Be positive, be upbeat. Remember, clients are thinking about their futures and their lifestyles, and you want to be a positive force in their imagination. During an open house, it's important to demonstrate and provide value. You can do this several ways, and most obvious is to know your numbers. When you get to the day of the open house, make sure you know your stats or that of the team of your market center. I don't know about that, Eileen, because I don't think they care. I think personally, they just want to know about the house. Know your market stats, how many days the house has been on the market, that yes, they want to know how long the listing has been sitting. Number of houses sold in the neighborhood. Yeah, they sometimes want that too. Understand personality types and conversation styles of different people. Did they engage with you when you greeted them? Mirror their behavior and match their energy and interest levels. So I know I have a hard time doing that myself, because if they're a little aggressive, I don't necessarily get a little aggressive back. But if they're not really showing a lot of interest, I'm not chasing after them. I'm letting them, because sometimes you can tell they'll come in and they just want to be left alone because they want to be able to take it in and see the rooms without having somebody in their ear yapping away. There's plenty of the participants can offer the visitors to the open house. Examples include the consumer app, a market report, a list of other houses for sale in the neighborhood. And some agents hold raffles during the open house. Consider partnering with a local business for a small discount on services as a raffle prize. I've done that once. I had someone who did, local person who did massages, and she gave a massage back and neck and shoulders as a prize for the open house. When you choose to do any kind of contest or raffle, keep in mind this warning. Contests and other incentives may be prohibited in your jurisdiction by real estate rules and other laws. I don't know if they apply here. I don't think it's a big deal. Okay. One of the primary uses of the KW apps is to be able to organize and consolidate lead information before, during, and after open houses. Make sure you capture information and qualify leads. There are several ways you can do this. So again, we talked about this earlier. You can have a sign-in sheet, customize a landing page in Command and have it available on an iPad. Offer the KW app, ask probing forward questions and who, what, where, when, and why. So having your phone available is really a great tool, because you're not having to take it from the sign-in sheet and then put it into Command. You're doing it right there on your phone instead of having to do the same thing twice. Okay, pursue. Remember the goals of an open house are to
I have a
generate.
question. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
It's about the app, and I've always wondered, because I've sent it to people, and do they automatically connect with you, or do they have to sign into your app, like register to
They
connect
have to
with you?
register. They do have to register.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then from there, if you're sending them your actual personal app link, it should automatically pull you in as their agent. If not, they will have to search for you as their agent.
Right,
And
because that's what they've been.
Yeah.
That's the experience I've been having, where they have to search for me, and
Okay.
I was trying
Yeah.
to find an easier medium,
I think
You
if
have
they
all
use
your
the link-
information filled out in Command.
No, I'm talking about people I'm just meeting for the first
Yeah,
time.
I think if they need to, when you send them the link, they need to sign in and create an account. Try it with, one of your friends and family and see how it works.
I did, but they had to
Did it
register.
work? Yeah, all right, so let me
No.
know, we'll talk, because I think it should, if you, they do need to register though, they can't just download it and go in, they do need to register, but I'm not,
Mhm.
for you to show up, but I'm not 100% sure, so we can go through that.
I think
I was
if all the
also,
information is in command, Eileen, it'll
no,
automatically.
but she's
go to
saying
her
new
app.
people, she's saying new people.
No, I'm saying her own personal information. They shouldn't have to search for her. Right?
Oh,
Like if
they
she's
don't
sending
fix
her
it.
information with her,
Her
barcode and
app.
stuff, right? They shouldn't have to search for her. So I don't know if she's set up totally in command. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know what you're saying. Yeah, I think, because I was just on a call
Hmm.
recently, so let me just tell you guys, just so you know, to asking questions about the app, Stephen Gandell, who's our regional tech trainer, will be on the March 29th. He'll be in Middletown at 9 o'clock, and he'll be at the New City office at 1 o'clock. And he's going to go over all things about the app. So I highly recommend that you guys come. The app is basically your command dashboard on the go. So he'll talk about how to use it in your business. Most of you will not be sitting behind your desks all day. You'll be on the go. So I'll put the link on here to register for that as well. I think it would be really good for you guys to attend that. And I have the answer to the Ford questions. So F is for family, O is for occupation, R is for recreation. So if you know your person's a golfer, or they like the Mets, right? Or the Yankees, or whoever they like, right? You talk about that. And D is for dreams. It could be something that they're thinking of. Do we want to buy that second home at the shore? Things like that. So I will put in the chat what Ford stands for, just for you to remember, these are good conversations to have with your people. And one more thing, they are updating the command websites where if you are running an open house, there's going to be a nice open house page for you to capture your leads for. It's not out yet, but it is coming soon in the next couple of months.
Oh, that's good. Then you don't even have to go through this. I just remember in the very, very beginning when we first came out with Command, you were helping us to set up that app. And we had to use our barcode, or we had to take our, whatever the heck it was. So I
There's
know,
that link, yeah, but I do
Yes.
believe they need to sign in before they can see you, I believe, so.
yeah, but they shouldn't have to search for her. So something, I think something is missing there.
Yeah, I'll look at it.
Yeah.
You know what, text me your link. This is Jackie, right? Text me your link.
Yes, this is Jackie. Okay,
Yeah,
I will.
text me your link. Okay, well, I'll look at it.
Okay, so it's a good practice after the open house to immediately update your database with their contact information. So after you get done, let's say you have 10 people at the open house and you're sitting in front of the TV watching the news at night, get them into the database and get them into a smart plan and get them into the neighborhoods, and any tidbits of information, whether it's their family, friends, pet, whatever, get it into that database so that you have it. And then after that, it's time to reconnect with the visitors. Reach out to them in a day or two and say, hey, what did you think of that house? If you weren't interested in the house, what are you looking for? What neighborhood are you looking for? How big of a house? Maybe it's the bedrooms. Maybe it had a, pool that needed some kind of work and they didn't want to have to work on the pool, whatever it is. But you don't want to wait too long before you start following up with them. All right, so after you've hosted the open house, it's time to go back to the original goals you set for yourself in your participant guide. How many appointments did you intend to get? How many did you end up with? Would you consider the open house a success? And what changes, improvements will you make for your next open house? All right. Let's see. Okay, so after today's session, are you ready to set up and host your own open house this week or in the next 2 weeks? This is your call to action for today. Execute your plan and jump into your first open house. The best way to learn is to experience it in real life. So there is a checklist. Oh, maybe it's in the other, it's in the
And the
handout.
good news, the spring market is coming up, so there will be, probably in the next April, May, June, more open houses happening. Right now, it's probably a little slow. And definitely reach out to either your PC coaches who may know of any open houses, as well as other agents that you meet in the market center. There could be a high producing agent who doesn't want to do open houses anymore, who will be more than happy to let you run one for them.
And I think we're going to see more open houses now too, as the interest rates are going up and it's slowing down a little bit. And instead of a house selling in 2 days, maybe it's taken a week or so, and it's giving you an opportunity to do that open house and collect some names. Each day in Ignite, you grow in how you think, feel, act, and implement what you've learned from learning and ahas. You've moved forward, achievement of your big life. And that's what we're here for, achieve our big goals. So taking the time to reflect on what you've learned is important in building your confidence and celebrating your growth. We'll do this activity after each learning session. That can be homework. All right, let's see. Time for role playing. All right, Eileen, so let's see, success system. All right, let's move into our success system. Timekeeping in mind that the purpose is to develop the mindset, skills, and tools you need to build relationships and secure an appointment with a potential buyer or seller. So your daily success system tracker includes 10 conversations with your sphere, 10 contacts added to your database, 10 handwritten notes, and utilize the 10-5-1 model for social media engagement. I don't do
I
this.
also remind everybody, add 10 contacts a day, right? And I want you all to get to at least 201 contacts in your command database and have a smart plan. We're giving out awards this year for agents that have joined the 201 Plus Club. I know Jackie has her 201 contacts in. I'm pretty sure Muriel does, right? And the point is not to annoy you guys, but to get you to the point where you're up and producing and making money for yourselves.
Okay.
And I'll put my email in the chat. It's iangel@kw.com. And if you guys have any questions, I can point you in the right directions. We'll be having classes, a database day, like I said, in each of the market centers in April to kind of help you guys get up and running.
Okay, so the first job of a real estate agent is lead generation because the activity of generating leads is the foundation of your business. In addition, practicing conversations and dialogue will prepare you for success. That is appointments, signed agreements, signed contracts, and sales closed. And what is this doing in open houses, Eileen?
I don't know, but I think we could probably, I think we're done, to be honest with you. I think,
Okay, that's fine with me.
yeah, I think we're done. Yeah, I'm gonna say we're done.
All right, that's good.
Does anybody have any questions for Lynelle? You guys have been quiet.
Yeah, no, I thought we were gonna go over that checklist.
Oh.
So I have the checklist in, but I thought it was gonna come up on the screen,
Okay.
which
It
I
must
thought
be in
was very-
their guides. I think it's in their
Yeah.
participant.
You know what I'm talking about, right? Which I think is
Yeah.
very helpful if they haven't looked at it
Let me see if
yet.
I could find it.
I know, I'm looking for it too, because I printed it thinking that it was gonna be one of the screen slides. Here, preparing for an open house.
I'll look for it and pull it
Can you
up.
see it? It's 7.9 and 7.10. So if you guys really want to do a big bang up job, you should follow this and you'll probably get a lot of good leads out of it. So up to 3 days before the open house, it says set your open house goal. The pages are 7.9 and 7.10 in your guide. Research local and state province health precautions that's for COVID-19. Confirm the date and time of the open house, print a map of the neighborhood surrounding the open house, order 10 helium balloons for an open house, print 100 flyers, including a map, get 1 yard sign with rider and put sign in the yard, get 10 directional signs with riders, research sign placement, which you should be okay with that.
The
Mark-
directionals are key. The more you can get out on the street, the more people that will just show up randomly.
Yeah, mark on a map where you'll place the signs, compile information on alternative properties, print 5 copies of each, it says, 2 to 3 properties in a lower price range, 2 to 3 properties in a higher price range, and 1 to 2 properties with 1 or more bedrooms. And so what you can do sometimes is when they come in, you show them the flyers of these other properties, and maybe they're not interested in the one that you're doing the open house, but once the open house is over, let's say you're doing it from 1 to 3, you say to them, how about if I meet you at 3:30? You wrap it up and you go show them the house at 3:30 that they may be interested in. Advertise the open house on social media. Post at least each day for the week leading up to the open house. Generate a call list of 100 neighbors. So they want you to call 100 people and let them know that you're doing this open house.
Just
Role
be
play.
careful with the calling. That's all I'm gonna say.
Don't be on the do not call list. Make calls to invite your database. Put out a flyer to your database. Door knock if it's allowed where you're doing it.
Yeah, in Rockland, a lot of the towns I know do not allow door knocking, so
Yeah.
please do not do it.
Lower Orange County, same thing. I don't know about printing the blank contracts. I don't think you need that.
That's
Prepare
what I
your
said.
personal stats, put together a home book to display at the open house or create a custom landing page. So there's things you can do in Command that put all that information into a nice little pamphlet view.
Also know the taxes a lot. It's a pretty common question. Make sure you know the
Yes.
taxes when you go in.
Yes. All
You
right.
may
and then-
want to even double check the taxes and make sure that they're up to date and correct.
Yes, because sometimes, and here's another thing that the agents sometimes do. They have a senior's house and that senior has a veteran discount. And that senior has an enhanced star discount. And they might have some other discount. So their taxes are $2,000 a year, but when all is said and done and your buyer goes to buy that house, those taxes could be $8,000, $9,000. And they don't have any idea because the listing agent didn't do their homework with the taxes. We're not supposed to list them with any kind of exemptions. So keep that in mind. You always want to double check those taxes, especially in Orange County. So then the day before the open house is the next checklist. Pretty self-explanatory. Advertise the open house, place directional signs, role play again, print contact tracing forms, review floor plan. We're using contact tracing forms anymore. This has to get updated. Review the floor plan if you need to. And then the day of the open house, you're going to call and remind people about the open house, assess all entrances and exits, role play and practice, set up your designated PPE area if you need that, bring work to stay productive during that time, test your customer landing page, assemble your showing kit. Surface.
I'm gonna
that-
add, if it's winter, bring boots and a shovel, because you just don't know
Yes.
what's gonna happen when you get there.
Yes. Post one copy of your open house protocol outside the residence. So there are some people that say, here's the phone number to call. They keep the door locked. They call you and you let them in and you lock the door behind them. And you only let one person or two people in at a time. Arrive early and prepare the house, open all the shades, turn on the lights, open the interior closet doors, wipe down the counters, ensure valuables, breakables, and prescriptions are safely hidden. So make sure you tell your clients, hey, listen, don't leave your wallet on your dresser, any jewelry, that sort of thing, because you don't want to have to, worry about that stuff disappearing. And if you do these checklists, you really can have a bang up turnout because there are agents that have done it. And they've gotten really good leads out of it. That's my spiel and I'm sticking to it. All right,
Any
I think we've
questions for
covered
Linda?
everything. That's enough. I don't even want to hear myself talk anymore.
Does anybody have any questions for her about when you do host your open house or? No.
All right, we're good then, right?
And the other thing, like I said, you could do is create a landing page and have, I could make a QR code and people scan it at the front door and then they enter their contacts and it goes right into your Command database. I could send you guys a video. Why don't you guys put your emails in the chat? Yes, William, it was recorded. Put your emails in the chat and I'll send you a video on how to create a landing page that you can have agents sign into when they get there, either on your iPad or you can have a QR code.
That's a good
they-
idea.
Yeah, it makes it a little easier and it's going to be even easier coming up. So hopefully in the next couple of months. Great.
All
All right,
right,
well, thank you guys for attending.
Thank you.
I know it was a long time to sit, so I appreciate you guys who hung in there till the end.
I don't know why we did two together instead of just doing one.
I think they're doing it so that it doesn't stretch out as long because there's so
Oh.
much information that they want the agents to get up and running and getting out there and selling and buying homes, right?
Okay, it's a lot of information though to absorb.
A lot, yeah. If you have questions, you can email us and
Yes. All right then, have a good day.
hey, take care, guys. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Eileen.
Thank you.